The James Show Podcast.
Now, you definitely heard about this, and a couple of things. I've been waiting to talk about this for a while. Not that I knew it would line up this beautifully, but it kind of did work out nice in the fact that so many of the original reporting, of the details in the original reports here, turned out to not be what I thought it was. And look, I'm just as guilty as so many other people. I go through and I read the headlines and I make assumptions based on the headlines. And then quite often when I go read the rest of the story, I find out that headline was wrong. So let's start with the idea that Trump does or does not have the power to do this unilaterally. I really got to tell you, I don't know the details on the process by which White House renovations are made. But when you dig into it, not only is it not crazy or weird or off the mark or indicative of some tyrant that we've never seen before. He's an authoritarian. This proves it. It's the most normal thing in the world. When you go try and look at like the history of White House renovations, it's something that almost every president has done something to the White House. And I'd say about 1 out of 3 or maybe 1 out of 4 presidents have done major construction projects. And when you go list out through, okay, well, when did this happen? Was it all a long time ago or was this all recent? Both in early American history, in the mid 1800s and the late 1800s. A whole lot was going down in the early 1900s and the middle of the century. And then there's been renovation. But Obama did renovations, more expensive than what Trump's doing now. Now, some of this isn't like, hey, I want to make a ballroom like what Trump is doing. A lot of the renovations when I was digging around in the early 1900s were things like, hey, guess what? We now have electricity now, so we need to run electric lines all through. We need to wire this place up and put like plugs and outlets in this sucker. Because the White House is older than plugs. You understand? The White House is older than the electric company in D.C. And then it was, okay, well, we have phones now, so we have to put phone lines in. Okay, well, now we've got to replace some of the decaying wood in this staircase. And there always seemed to be some sort of excuse. And so like this pool that JFK used to swim in and cheat with Fiddle Faddle, these 2 secretaries that were college age, that one got covered up and is now the press room. And then there was the bowling alley that Nixon had put in the basement. And there's been changes that have happened on an almost constant level. So the idea that this is just coming out of left field, this is what a dictator does, absolutely insane. And the media is just off its rocker where their reflex is whatever Trump's doing, it's terrible, it's stupid, it's authoritarian, it's literally Hitler. And Carolyn Leavitt was getting the business this morning from some people in the White House press corps. Half of the press corps seems to be sane these days, but they were just pointing out, like, isn't this crazy? Isn't this weird? Isn't this wildly authoritarian? Can he just... Is the president claiming that he can just do whatever he wants and he could tear down whatever he wants whenever he wants? Because that's what a dictator would do. Calm down, lady.
There have been presidents who have completely torn down the executive mansion. If you look at what President Truman did, some of the photos of the construction project that took place in those years, I think sitting here today, we're all grateful for those efforts and the modifications that happened at that time.
Okay, now right here, she's going to pull up some papers and start flipping through it. You'll hear some weird noises and she's referencing something. You'll hear when she asks for the photos.
And again, in due time, the East Wing is going to be more beautiful and modern than ever before. And in addition, there will be a big, beautiful ballroom that can hold big parties and state visits for generations to come.
So it sounds like the answer is yes, he can tear down whatever he wants. And then secondly,
that's not what we're saying. That's a legal opinion that's been held for many years. And
interpreting it.
No, it's something that presidents have done for years and years. In fact, I have some photos here.
Did you hear the journalist, air quote journalist, try and reframe that? Oh, okay, so what you're saying is he really can just tear down anything once, whenever he wants. Dude, where was this level of skepticism when Obama did his White House renovations? Here, let's go back in time. You know I have the receipts. The Audiotron 3000 forgets nothing. We're going back to the year 2010 when Obama's doing some renovations. Now, Trump's are going to be $250 to $300 million. It's all privately raised. A lot of it's Trump's money. He got some other donors to pitch in. So not a cent of this is coming from the taxpayer. So it's costing us zero. So what it seems like is we're actually on the benevolence of a billionaire and some of his friends getting the gift of a renovation and a new ballroom to the White House. This should be celebrated, right? It's not. But when Obama did it with your money, listen to CNN. This is great.
Sounds like they're building another wing to the White House, but we appreciate you keeping your focus.
You can't even imagine, TJ. It's going to happen for the next 2 years. All of the banging, the jackhammering, the dust, the confusion, the noise of all places to do construction is happening right here, the front lawn of the White House.
It's a 4-year renovation project. Estimated cost, $376 million.
Oh, $376 million. And did you hear him? Hey, it's all happening right here on the front lawn. They're cheering it on. Did Obama ever get asked, or did Karine Jean-Pierre, or whoever was his spokesperson at the time, did they ever get asked? I guess Karine Jean-Pierre was Biden, but you know what I mean. Who would it have been then? Gibbs? Did they ask Robert Gibbs? Hey, so does Obama think that he could just tear down whatever he wants whenever he wants without any kind of approval from any other guy? Doesn't this prove that he's a tyrant? Does he think he can just tear down what? No, they were like, hey, check this out. Isn't this great? It's a 4-year project. Going to cost $376 million of taxpayer money. This is great. Oh, man, it's a beautiful day. Check out all the progress that's being made. It's wonderful when our team does it. When the other team does it, worst thing in the world. If you're freaking out over this, really, if you're spending a whole lot of time trying to come up with reasons to be upset about this, that really says a lot about you, because we can go back just 2 presidents ago to Barack Obama and see what you same people said about those renovations. And if there wasn't any concern about the cost or the precedents or the history or the tyranny or the fact that he's doing this on his own, did he actually consult with other people? Can he just unilaterally do this? If you didn't say that during Obama, your opinion means nothing to me now. And I don't mean about this. I mean about anything going forward. Here's Donald Trump, who was asked about this. And this is him explaining and showing some of the pictures. And he has some plans and some charts and some blueprints. And this is where we get the $300 million number from. But this was...
there's a relative... Nobody's actually seen anything quite like it. I think it'll be one of the great ballrooms anywhere in the world. It's about $300 million. It's set to do many, many things, including meetings of foreign leaders, including the honoring of foreign leaders. You can see this. This is a plan. If it's got tables so that you honor a foreign leader, we have a proper space. Right now, we have a space that with tables holds about 79 people.
Now, I know this isn't the most important thing in the world, and it's not really absolutely necessary for a proper functioning country. But when you do have dignitaries in and you can only hold 70 people and more than 70 people want to come, do you see what they do? They pitch tents. They put tents out on the lawn next to the existing ballroom, and a bunch of people have to eat outside. And, a lot of times that's not really great when it's the heat of summer or the freezing cold of winter, or if it's raining or snowing or super duper windy. And it's kind of, I don't want to say it's embarrassing, but it looks kind of chintzy because you can go to these other places who aren't nearly as wealthy as the United States, and they have these grand, magnificent ballrooms, and they can seat more than 70-something people. And so, again, I'm like a neither here nor there. I think this is such, I don't want to say it's a non-story, because once the hoopla has been made and the headlines have been written, if it's full of garbage, you need to at least shout it down. But think about the other things that were going on at the meeting where Donald Trump was, explaining that in the last couple of press availabilities. There have been some super important issues going on. Number one, we had Donald Trump saying that he would be willing to give up some territory in Ukraine to Russia for peace. Now, this is a huge story. Listen to this, because this is a couple of things. Number one, Donald Trump's admitting that he would be willing to give up some of Ukraine in order to get a peace deal with Russia. You would think they'd be jumping all over that. See, we told you he was Putin's puppet. We told you he was going to sell out Ukraine. We told you that the line to cross is Ukraine should lose no territory, and here's Donald Trump is selling them out. They actually have something good, something political, something geopolitical, something historic to criticize them on. But instead of jumping on that, they're jumping on the ballroom.
Did you get any sense from Putin that he would be willing or open to the idea of ending this war without taking significant property from Ukraine?
Well, he's going to take something. I mean, they fought, and he has a lot of property. I mean, he's won certain property. If you say that, he's won certain property. We're the only nation that goes in and wins a war and then leaves, like we did under President Bush in the Middle East. We go in, we blast the hell out of everybody, destroy the place, and then we leave, Remember, I used to say, keep the oil. But I really didn't say, I said two things. I said, don't go in. But then they went in. And I said, well, don't go in, but if you're going to go in, keep the oil. But we didn't keep the oil. What do? We go in, we blast it to pieces, and then we leave, Doesn't make sense, never made sense.
So that's an interview just from 2 days ago. And it's getting less attention than the renovations on the White House ballroom. What kind of garbage news media do we have at the national level? And that's a rhetorical question. This clearly demonstrates what level of garbage media we have at the national level. And again, not everyone, but these people were fixated on it. It's like, can you believe that he's doing this? Yeah, I can believe it. In fact, I can't hardly think of a story that's going through the headlines that I care less about than the renovations to the ballroom. And I'm supposed to be scared of this? I'm supposed to think, oh no, this is what dictators would do. This is what literally Hitler would do. What, renovate a ballroom? That's what you're worried about? At what point does anyone care about balancing the budget? I mean, we've got people that are losing their minds over expanding the ballroom. Oh, well, it might cost a lot of money. No, it's not going to cost any money. Oh, well, it's unprecedented. No, it's actually something that happens quite frequently. Oh, well, I guess I just hate him. Yeah, that's what it is. Now, this important story here where Trump is talking about giving up concessions to Putin for peace. Not only does that sentence on its own just float out there and give you a little bit of information about what's on his mind, it also gives you an idea of where he's at on the business negotiating map. If you're not negotiating with someone, they're terrible, whatever, you create a pain point to get them to the table. The pain point was saying over the weekend, yeah, sure, we'll give out Tomahawk missiles if Ukraine's really going to need them and they want to obliterate Russia and Russia's not going to cooperate. Tomahawk missiles are on the table, so that gets Putin's attention. That creates a pain point that he can't have the U.S. handing off a few thousand Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine without severe negative consequences. So then after you draw him to the table, then you start saying nice things about him. Not nice things about the war, not nice things about the way he's running his country, but no, me and Putin have always gotten along well. Me and Putin have a great relationship. You make him not an adversary. You make him a friend that you're working with to what? Alleviate that pain point. To, hey, whatever it takes to not do the Tomahawk missiles. Tell you what, now we're in a position where Donald Trump, following his blueprint and art of the deal, or if you don't like him, the blueprint that businessmen read in How to Win Friends and Influence People by Carnegie, that old book, he's going through this blueprint. And so now he's brought him to the table. He's created a pain point, and he's also created a carrot to go along with the stick. What would you rather have? Would you rather have me hand off a few thousand missiles to Ukraine and you got to start dodging Tomahawks for the next couple of years? Or would you rather have this little slice of the Donetsk and the Donbass province? And I feel like that I don't know that we're going to get a ceasefire soon, but we very well could get a ceasefire soon between Ukraine and Russia. And that is a much bigger deal than the ballroom. This is something that we've all suspected, but now it's been confirmed. Jasmine
Crockett, queen of the liberal tea. Bleach blonde, bad built butch body, Governor Hot Wheels, and he is a hot ass mess, honey. Queen of the liberal tea.
In an interview, she was asked about her future plans, with the redistricting. Some Democrats may be left out of the next midterm elections. They may be losing their seats. Some of them are scrambling for their next job. Some of them are looking for a promotion. And Jasmine is in the conversation to run in Texas for the Senate seat of John Cornyn. Now, she is saying in this sound bite that they're doing some internal polling, and if it comes back positive, she's going to run for Senate.
I have no idea where I'll run. These are my three options. Currently, we're waiting on the court to come down with a final opinion as to whether or not these lines will go into effect immediately or not. Our filing period is about to open, so they only have a little bit more time because you got to know where you're running. So we're expecting that we're going to get a court ruling here shortly on whether or not the lines go into effect for this election. So the lines may stay like they are, which means nothing changes about my district. they may change to what was signed into law. And that means that I would be moved into another district. And then the other option is every other day there's a poll that comes out that makes it clear that I can win the primary for the U.S. Senate race in Texas. Oh. And I am looking, because if you want to take my seat of 766,000 away, I feel like there has to be some karma in that, to where I take your seat that is for 30 million away. So we are, the primary is the primary. That's cool, but you got to win the general. So we are doing some testing here shortly to see if I can expand the electorate.
All right. See, now I paraphrased in 2 sentences what it took her 1 minute and 20 seconds to say. But it looks like if the internal polling that she's doing comes back and says she can win, what'd you say? Was that to me, Garrett? If it says she can win, she's going to run in the primary. Now, you got to think, well, why would she run in the primary? Even if she wins, there's no way she could win the general election in Texas to replace John Cornyn. And I wouldn't be that confident. Because what if John Cornyn comes out of the primary? There's going to be a lot of Republicans out there who don't like him, who are going to sit on their hands and probably not vote for him, or may vote third party or whoever else. So I don't even think it's a done deal that she can't win the general. However, I don't think she's expecting to win the general election. For her, she's in a situation where, depending on if the redistricting maps hold, if she's going to have a hard time retaining her seat or may risk losing her seat here, she'd be dumb not to run for Senate, or at least the primary here in Texas. Now, I think the truth is going to be somewhere in between the two scenarios, where she's probably going to be facing someone a little more right-wing in the final. It's not going to be Cornyn. It'll probably be Paxton. Maybe there's a small avenue for Wesley Hunt. But on the other side of the aisle, who is she running against? Colin Allred? And you may think, well, why would she give up her seat in Congress? She's been in Congress for a while now, and this has been really good for her. This has catapulted her into a level of name recognition where no one knew who she was 3 years ago. We all know, talk radio listeners, not everyone in the country or in Texas, but you definitely know who Jasmine Crockett is now. And all the media interviews that she's done, that's the most important thing you could possibly do, because name recognition is everything in a primary. You don't have to have the right policies. You don't have to have the right background. You don't have to have your platform line up as closely as possible with the primary voters. Because the primary, you have to assume it's going to be almost completely Democrats. Now, we have open primaries here in Texas. So, independents and I guess Republicans could cross the line and vote in there. But really, that's not what happens. It's overwhelmingly Democrats that go to the polls. So they are going to vote for a Democrat, but the name that they recognize. And who on earth has a bigger name recognition or is more popular right now with Texas Democrats than Jasmine Crockett's? I say easily, that's nobody. Now, James, what good would it do if she does win the primary just to lose in the general election? Well, that campaign is going to get her even more news coverage, even more promotion that would cost hundreds of millions of dollars to buy. And losing that Senate seat is not the end of your career. Remember, Beto O'Rourke was a congressman from Texas up until 2019 when he decided to run for Senate. Or wait, was it governor first? I think it was just Senate. He keeps running for Senate here. And even though he lost in his race, what happened? Did his career diminish? Or was he catapulted to the national stage with all the promo he got, all the national attention he got? Because Team Blue salivates over the idea of taking one of these Senate seats from Texas and turning it blue. I mean, this is what they think about when they have that, special alone time. But if it can catapult Beto O'Rourke to run for president in 2020, and not just run for president, he was one of the finalists. He was up on the stage during the debates. Jasmine Crockett could get in that same position, and she would do a lot better than Beto O'Rourke did. She's a lot more likable than he is. She is a lot better at these interviews than he is. And let's all be a little bit honest with ourselves. When you're trying to appeal to the Team Blue Democrat voter, when your name's Robert Francis O'Rourke and you're a middle-aged, white, straight Christian male, that's not nearly as useful as Jasmine Crockett. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Look at all the boxes she checks. Kathy DeWitt from DeWitt and Dunn, and you can also hear her on the weekends here on WBAP. Coming back on the James Show. Now, if you go try and look for good news on the markets, you'll find it. Stock markets are around all-time highs, had another great day today. But then you can see on the other side of the financial news that there's still concern over tariffs. You know, you had Target cutting 1,000 jobs. You had Facebook cutting a bunch of jobs. You see sort of the back and forth where the price of oil is low, but is it too low? Is so low it's going to hurt Texas? So out of the pile of financial headlines that you have to sift through, would you say you're a little more bullish or bearish on the economy right now, Kathy?
Well, I'm a little bit concerned right now. If you take a look at everything that's happening and healthcare cost and, we're kind of in a bubble right now with AI. So we just need to be a little bit cautious. But the other thing, too, is we need to plan ahead for 2026 for healthcare cost and how that may impact your payroll check and your take-home pay.
So what changes are you expecting as far as healthcare cost?
Well, it's interesting. According to a recent survey, workers are likely to pay about 6 to 7% more for their employer-sponsored healthcare insurance next year, and that's double the rate of inflation. Can you believe that, James?
Oh, I can totally believe that. When we have a $2 trillion deficit, it's sort of expected in my book.
Yeah, and then the other thing is that if you take a look at the average family, and if you're having to pay for coverage with your employer for your family, and maybe they're contributing towards your premium being the employee, you're looking at an average of $8,900 a year for coverage for your family that's going to come out of your paycheck. And that's according to a recent survey with more than 1,700 employers. That's a lot of money, James.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of margin, a whole lot of disposable income, to adjust to that. What would you say to people like me who say, look, if things go up quite a bit, I mean, do you tell them to drop health insurance?
Well, I mean, you probably need to look at your alternative. A lot of employers have some plans where there are higher deductibles and higher copays. So you might actually have to take a look at that, or look at catastrophic insurance, because on average right now, too, for the employer, they're paying on average $18,000 of coverage just for the employee. So that's per employee. So a lot of small businesses are going to really struggle next year.
Yeah, who can afford that? So let's talk about the catastrophic coverage. I didn't know that was still an option. I thought we had to get health insurance that covered everything these days.
Well, there's all kinds of different plans. If anybody has any questions, they can reach out to me. But there are some plans where you do have the coverage, but you're really insuring for the unexpected that's on the other end of the spectrum. And hopefully that won't happen to you. But, you have to look at your options. You just can't sit there and say, okay, this is all, this is it. This is what I have to do, because $8,900 coming out of your paycheck on average for a family, that's a lot of money, because that's going to impact your ability for groceries, and, cost of living continues to go up, interest rates on credit cards. So you got to make a lot of money to cover $8,900 annually.
Yeah. Oh, so we're talking with Kathy DeWitt from DeWitt and Dunn. So what about people who are already retired? They're on Medicare. They probably have a supplemental plan to go with it. Are they expecting similar increases?
Well, that's a really interesting question. We've been hosting a lot of workshops here in the DFW area for people that are approaching retirement. If they're 64 and they're about to turn 65, congratulations. You need to take a look at your Medicare option. Or if you're currently on Medicare, there's a lot of changes, James, for 2026 that people are unaware of. And so you're going to see a lot of money coming out of your pocket when it comes to prescription drugs. So if you are in that situation, you probably want to go to my website at DeWitt and Dunn and register for one of these educational workshops. We're only going to be discussing Medicare and how it's going to impact you.
I've heard you talk about those before. They're free?
Yeah, they are absolutely free. And if you don't come, it's going to cost you a lot of money in the end. But you have to know what your options are with Medicare and take a look at all the different plans, and also how that is going to impact your spending next year, when you're going to see that your prescription coverage plans are going to significantly change. And that's what we're going to talk about.
That is some clever marketing. The event's free, but it's going to cost you if you don't come. I like that a lot. Kathy DeWitt, you can hear her on WBAP on Sundays. She's on at 11 in the morning and then again at 4 in the afternoon. Thank you very much, Kathy DeWitt.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, coming up next on the James Show, we have another touchy issue, and this is going to rub some people the wrong way, but it's going to be fun to talk about. Is there anything wrong with a 42-year-old man dating an 18-year-old woman. That's next on The James Show. News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP.
The James Show Podcast.